This free step-by-step video comes to you directly from Haynes. You can complete more than 200 jobs on this vehicle when you purchase the complete Haynes online manual at haynes.com.
Timing belt renewal. Pull the bonnet release lever located in the passenger's footwell. Lift the bonnet slightly, depress the safety catch, fully raise the bonnet and support it with the prop. Using the tool provided in the vehicle toolkit, undo the fastener and remove the wheel centre cap where fitted. Then, using the locking wheel bolt adapter where necessary, slacken each of the wheel bolts half a turn. Position the workshop jack under the lower arm front mounting point with a piece of wood on the jack head. Then raise the vehicle until the tyre is clear of the ground. Place an axle stand under the sill flange at the jacking point, indicated by an arrow pressed into the sill. Remove the jack. If required, repeat this procedure on the other side of the vehicle. Fully unscrew the bolts and remove the wheel. Engine under tray. Undo the 2 screws securing the under tray to the bumper. Undo the 5 remaining screws and remove the under tray. The front section of the wheel arch liner is secured by several fasteners. Undo the 2 screws at the lower front edge, then prise out the remaining clips and remove the front section of the wheel arch liner. Prise off the plastic cover from the tensioner. Using a T50 Torx bit, undo the central bolt and remove the tensioner. A new one must be fitted. Remove the old belt from around the pulleys. Disconnection. Release the clips, then remove the battery main cover and the side cover. Slacken the retaining nut, then with a twisting motion, pull the negative lead clamp from the battery negative terminal. Position the clamp to one side to prevent accidental reconnection. Removal. Unclip the transmission breather hose from the side of the air cleaner housing. Disconnect the hose, then slacken the clamp securing the air outlet hose to the throttle body. Pull the housing upwards to release the rubber mountings, then disconnect the air inlet duct. Unclip the air intake ducting from the front panel. Undo the bolt and remove the oil filler extension. Plug the opening to prevent contamination. Disconnect the vacuum and breather hoses from the rear of the inlet manifold. Note their fitted positions, then disconnect the various wiring plugs from the manifold. Remove the engine oil level dipstick. Then cover the hole to prevent contamination. Pull the HT caps from the spark plugs and unclip them from the manifold. It's essential the HT caps are refitted to their original locations. Depress the release button and disconnect the fuel pipe at the right-hand side of the manifold. Be prepared for fuel spillage. Cover the openings to prevent contamination. Undo the lower retaining bolts, then the upper retaining bolts, and remove the manifold. Plug the inlet ports in the cylinder head to prevent contamination. Removal. Unclip the coolant hose at the left-hand end of the engine and move it to one side. Undo the bolt and move the wiring loom guide to one side. Undo the retaining nuts and disconnect the wiring terminals from the starter motor solenoid. Undo the lower and upper mounting bolts, then remove the starter motor. Removal. Undo the bolt and remove the cover from the lower section of the transmission bell housing. The crankshaft must now be held stationary in order to loosen the crankshaft pulley bolt. Jam the flywheel ring gear with a pry bar, or preferably fit the correct flywheel locking tool. Engage the teeth of the locking tool with the ring gear on the flywheel, then bolt it to the bell housing. Undo the central bolt and remove the crankshaft pulley. Note that a new bolt will be required. Temporarily refit the crankshaft pulley bolt. Remove the flywheel locking tool. Support the engine under the sump using a jack and a block of wood. Undo the bolts and remove the right-hand engine mounting assembly. Release the clip and move the wiring loom at the rear of the timing belt cover to one side. Undo the bolts and remove the timing belt upper cover, followed by the centre cover and lower cover. If necessary, use a little abrasive paper or cloth to clean the hole in the engine block where the setting tool is to be inserted. Turn the crankshaft pulley bolt clockwise until an 8mm rod or drill can be inserted through the hole in the cylinder block into the corresponding hole in the flywheel. The crankshaft is now set to top dead centre, or TDC, on number 1 cylinder. With the crankshaft set, the arrow marks on the camshaft sprocket and camshaft cover should align. If the marks are 180 degrees out, remove the crankshaft setting tool, rotate the engine 1 complete revolution and refit the setting tool. The marks on the sprocket and camshaft cover should now align. Slacken the retaining nut, then use an Allen key to rotate the tensioner clockwise and relieve the belt tension. Remove the timing belt from the sprockets. Fully unscrew the nut and remove the tensioner. A new tensioner must be fitted. Fitting. Check the mark on the camshaft pulley is still aligned with the mark on the camshaft cover, and the mark on the crankshaft sprocket is aligned with the mark on the oil pump flange. The new tensioner should be supplied with a locking pin in place. Don't remove the pin at this stage. Manoeuvre the new tensioner into position, ensuring it fits correctly around the lug in the casting, then fit the retaining nut. Don't tighten the nut at this stage. The new belt has alignment marks which correspond to the marks on the camshaft and crankshaft sprockets and direction of rotation arrows. Fit the timing belt over the crankshaft and camshaft sprockets and around the coolant pump pulley, ensuring that the belt run is taut, i.e. all slack is on the tensioner pulley side of the belt. Then fit the belt around the tensioner pulley. Where applicable, line up the 2 timing reference marks on the belt with the timing marks on the crankshaft and camshaft sprockets. Do not twist the belt sharply during refitting, and do make sure that the belt teeth are correctly seated centrally in the sprockets and that the timing marks remain in alignment. Remove the tensioner locking pin. Then rotate the tensioner anti-clockwise and align the index pointer with the notch in the backplate. Hold the tensioner stationary and tighten the retaining nut. If removed, temporarily refit the old crankshaft pulley bolt, remove the crankshaft locking tool, then rotate the crankshaft 6 complete revolutions clockwise and realign the camshaft and crankshaft timing marks. Fit the Allen key, then loosen the tensioner nut and turn the eccentric hub until the index pointer is in the middle of the notch in the tensioner backplate. Tighten the tensioner nut to the specified torque. Check that the tensioner pulley is not in contact with the cylinder head. If it is, remove and refit it. Remove and discard the old crankshaft pulley bolt. Don't discard the washer. Refit the timing belt lower cover and tighten the retaining bolts to the specified torque. Refit the timing belt upper cover and tighten the retaining bolts to the specified torque. Maneuver the right-hand engine mounting into position, ensuring the locating pin engages correctly. Refit the various retaining bolts and tighten them to the specified torque. Clip the wiring loom back into place. Remove the jack and block of wood from under the engine. Refit the crankshaft pulley, then insert the new bolt with the old washer. Refit the flywheel locking tool to the bell housing to prevent the crankshaft from rotating. Tighten the crankshaft pulley bolt to the specified torque and angle. Remove the flywheel locking tool. Refit the cover to the lower section of the bell housing and tighten the retaining bolt securely. Fitting. Maneuver the starter motor into position, ensuring it locates over the dowel. Insert the upper and lower mounting bolts, then tighten them to the specified torque. Reconnect the wiring terminals to the solenoid, then tighten the retaining nut securely. Move the wiring loom guide into position, then refit the bolt and tighten it securely. Clip the coolant hose into place. Refitting. Remove any traces of gasket, sealant or dirt from the cylinder head mating surfaces. Prise out the old seals, clean the grooves, then press new seals into place on the manifold. Remove the plugs from the inlet ports and ensure the mating surfaces are still clean. Carefully maneuver the inlet manifold into position. Insert the upper and lower bolts into their locations in the manifold. The lower centre bolts are difficult to insert. Use a magnetic tool to hold the bolts, then insert them. Tighten the lower and upper retaining bolts to the specified torque. Remove the caps and reconnect the fuel pipe. Firmly press the HT caps into their original locations on the top of the spark plug. Then clip the HT leads into place on the inlet manifold. Remove the cap and refit the engine oil level dipstick. Reconnect the various wiring plugs to their original locations on the manifold. Refit the breather hose, then reconnect the vacuum hoses to the manifold. Refit the oil filler extension and tighten the retaining bolt securely. Clip the air intake duct back into place on the front panel. The air cleaner housing is secured by 4 rubber mountings. Maneuver the housing into position, connect the air outlet hose to the throttle body and the air intake duct to the front of the housing. Press the housing firmly down to engage the mountings. Tighten the air outlet hose clamp and reconnect the hose. Clip the transmission breather hose to the side of the air cleaner housing. The tensioner mounting piece locates in the mounting bracket. Position the mounting piece, then fit the new tensioner and lightly tighten the central bolt. Locate the belt around the pulleys, ensuring the belt ribs locate correctly in the pulley grooves. Using a spanner on the hexagonal section, rotate the tensioner anti-clockwise, tension the belt, then tighten the T50 Torx bolt securely. Press the cover back into the centre of the tensioner. Manoeuvre the wheel arch liner back into position and secure it with the various fasteners. Locate the wheel on the hub, then insert and lightly tighten the retaining bolts. Raise the vehicle and remove the axle stands. Lower the vehicle to the ground and tighten the bolts to the specified torque. Refit the centre cap and tighten the fastener. Reconnection. Press the negative lead clamp down over the battery negative terminal, then tighten the retaining nut securely. Refit the battery covers, ensuring the clips engage correctly. Remove the prop from the bonnet, then clip the prop into the storage bracket and close the bonnet.